Hey there, you bots and prompters. Welcome to another episode of Pragmatic Works AI Academy. And today I want you to be honest. How many awesome ChatGPT conversations have you lost because they're buried in a giant pile of random chats? You had a whole workflow going for a client or a monthly report, and now you can't even remember what you called that chat, right? Well, today I want to fix that. ChatGPT has a feature called Projects that basically turns your AI into a dedicated workspace for one client, one course, one report, but all in one place where it remembers all of that and holds on to it. If you set it up right, it remembers all the important stuff for that project so you're not rebuilding context every single time. In this video, I'm going to break down what ChatGPT projects are, what memory works inside of them, and a few other common pitfalls to avoid. If you use ChatGPT for work, whether that's client work, reporting, context, whatever, you've probably run into this problem. Every new idea, every new task, every random question ends up in the same long list of chats. There's no clear line between this is client A and this is my personal brainstorming. Projects fix that by giving you dedicated spaces for each thing that you're working on, so nothing's going to be overlapping. Think of them like folders that hold on to your chats, your files, and your ideas, and even some of your very specific instructions for that project in particular. For example, when I'm working with video stuff a lot, I have some specific things I'm looking for when some of the text I'm wanting to get out of it and things to keep an eye out for in our transcripts. So formally speaking, in ChatGPT, a project is a spot where we can bundle all of what we're doing all together in one spot. So, chats you make in that project belong to that project and that project alone. It cannot be referenced outside of it, and really you won't be seeing a lot of that stuff pop up in your more general use chats. You can create as many projects as you want, and each one can have its own tone, set its own goals, and its own brain, basically. The way I like to think about it is that one normal chat is a one-off conversation, but a project like this is an ongoing relationship. You're always coming back to it, it's always learning from you, and that learning is valuable. It's not getting muddy with anything else. Now, how would you use this? If you're a consultant, that might be one project per client. If you're in data, it might be a project for your monthly reporting workflow. If you're creating training, it might be one project per video project. Now, here's where it gets powerful and also where people mess it up the most. Memory inside of projects. ChatGPT now has a memory system when it's enabled. It can remember certain details about you and your projects and what you're doing with them. And so that way you don't have to repeat yourself every single time. Projects build on that by letting you choose how that memory behaves for each individual project. At a high level, there are two ways a project can behave with memory whenever you create it. One, default memory. So it actually will reference out to everything and shares memory with the rest of what you're doing in ChatGPT. But again, it's not really that concentrated feel that we're going for. Whereas on the other hand, we have project-only memory, which is basically saying, keep this project in its own box. I don't want it getting anywhere else out there. I don't want it muddying and messing with my other data. I just want what I put here to be referenced. Now, do mind you, if you do have something with a project-only memory, chats inside the project can reference each other, but they don't pull in your personal memories from outside. And what happens in this doesn't necessarily bleed into your other chats. Now, I want to talk about a couple common pitfalls I see whenever people are using projects, because they're a lot more easy to fix up in the front and center rather than down the line. It gets much more annoying to handle some of this stuff. So pitfall number one that we're going to be talking about is picking the wrong memory at the start. Like I said, whenever you're making a project inside of ChatGPT, you get one singular choice there up in the little gear icon, which I'll show you guys in a second, which basically says, are you going to make this a project only? Or you're going to make it a general memory. If you don't set that up, you could end up working in that project and you might have the wrong memories you wanted to be working with. It might be messing with all of this other muddy data and all of your other searches. Biggest pitfall number two that I see is mixing too many things into one project. Again, the exact problem you're trying to avoid is not overwhelming your model and making it hallucinate and come up with things that just aren't useful. You want it to be concentrated, just like whenever you're prompting, it needs to be concentrated and specific on what you're trying to get out with the project. So maybe if you have an organization-wide operation, you may not want to necessarily have just a project for the entire organization, but rather specific projects and things you want it to carry out, just so it doesn't get itself confused. Which we have a couple of other videos you might want to check out if that is something you're working with things like making a company profile and stuff like that. And lastly, pitfall number three, forgetting project instructions. So this is a little bit different than the memories or anything like that we've been talking about. Projects will have their own instruction box whenever you're setting it up originally in ChatGPT. If you skip filling that out, ChatGPT will feel more generic in that project, and it won't really get the very specific results that you'd be looking for. The more information that you give ChatGPT, the more it'll be able to work with you and get more specific results to what you're looking for. All right, so with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into making our very own project, just so we can get a lay of the land and see what it looks like for us. So if I come here into chatgpt.com, you can see the usual main interface that we'd be looking at. But I'm going to come up here to my sidebar menu. You might not see it originally when you're coming in here, as it might be closed. So just come up here and open sidebar. Then I'm going to come down here to projects and click here. And we can see it's asking for a title, project name, and it also asks us what kind of project it wants us to do. So we're going to call this Pragmatic Works, because I don't need to get too complex with it today. Now I can decide, like I was saying a moment ago, the project memory. What do I want it to be thinking about, and where do I want it to be getting its information from? I actually don't really want it getting out of just any sort of stuff I've been working on, so I'm going to keep it project only. Then if we're taking a look up here, I can see that we have investing, homework, writing, health, and travel down here at the end. So this doesn't really fit into any of these, I don't think. So yeah, we're just going to call it Pragmatic Works. We've made sure the project memory is set to project only. And after a moment, boom, there we go. So that's what we're looking for. And as we can see up here in the side menu, it now has its own folder. So that's how you're always able to find your project and come back to it. And if we open that, I might have to do a message in here. Hello, chat, make me a company profile for Pragmatic Works. Again, I'm not going to get too complicated with it right now. We're mostly just looking to look at the interface and see what we can do with that there. Yeah, okay, so here we go. This is our company profile that it built out for us pretty quick. So now what we're going to do is have it saved to a text file for us. So save, so we can save it to this project. All right, let's see if we can download it real quick. If you've seen me and Brian's live stream, you might have seen some of this, but yeah, it looks good. All right, so now with this milestone, we are going to come over here. I'm going to add photo or files and add our company profile right in here. Using this profile, craft a 5-sentence mission statement for our company. All right, let's see what it comes up with. Pragmatic Works empowers individuals and organizations and blah, 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 blah. Looks pretty good to me, I think, don't you? Following here are team champions curiosity, mastery, and innovation. Yep, sounds good to me. But yeah, I was able to do that in a couple of sentences. It already mostly knew about Pragmatic Works there, so there wasn't too much work for me to do here on the front end. Normally, I'd be much more careful and much more thorough in terms of what I put in here, but for how quick it was, you can see projects are extremely, usable for whatever you're looking to do with them. It doesn't take long to get set up, and once you're rolling with them, you can continue to use them and continue to iterate and build off of them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Ian Warren, if I didn't mention it at the beginning of the video. If you want any other content like this, you want to check out my introduction to ChatGPT. Hopefully it'll appear somewhere right here. Very good course. I worked pretty hard on it. And hopefully we'll be seeing our advanced ChatGPT coming here in the not too distant future as well. So without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.